In the article, The Chicken and the Egg, Inviting Response and Talk Through Socratic Circles, educationalists Mary E. Steislinger and Timothy Pollock work together to discuss creating meaningful student response through talk in the classroom. Their article uses a lot of research and support from third-party teachers and researchers to support their ideas. And their idea is that classroom teachers are either A, standing in front of the classroom to elicit instruction, or B, expecting meaningful responses but not providing students with the opportunity to give open-ended or judgment-free responses. Their article really gets in depth by describing the feelings of students, the worry that students may feel like they don't answer questions or respond because they feel like there's a right or wrong answer. And they really work together in the article to kind of push or encourage teachers to create open environments and learning communities within the classroom through open-ended discussion in order to have successful Socratic circles. Now, my response to this article was that it was actually very positive because I have really used this opportunity in this class to get better acquainted with Socratic circles or seminars, only because I've never been able to hold a successful one in my own classroom. So I pulled from it that, number one, I really liked, I should say, that they included transcripts of the discussions that took place in class from 3 different classes. So they have transcripts from 3 different discussions, and you hear the feedback of the students. And on surface, in the article they stated, on the surface it seems all very superficial, but upon analysis there is some depth and thought to what the students are saying. You can tell that they're establishing real connections with the text and making it personal. And although, as they said, like every other teacher, I myself would want a stronger response from my students, we need to learn to understand that what our expectations are, we cannot fully expect our students to have. We have to build them up to that point. Their article does a really great job, in my opinion, of providing teachers with layered or guided questions, I should say. But I'm going to call them layered questions because they ask a question in the text, then they explain how they answer it, and they give a response as to why. An example of this would be on page 39 of the article, when they explain that the basic act of making check marks, question marks, and other notations in the margin can be especially helpful for a student when faced with a difficult text, such as a Shakespearean tragedy. They're explaining what they're having the students do to help facilitate discussion later on in the classroom, which I've learned after reading this article is critical. I have always had students annotate text in my classroom, but I've never had them use those annotations to facilitate their discussion. And then they explain how they use the strategy, how they implement the strategy, by saying that they gave students 10 minutes at the beginning of class to write down discussion questions and comments about that would stimulate good discussion based off of their annotations. And what makes this article even greater is that unlike prior articles that I've read, they put the results for everything that they do. As a result, by allowing them to prepare questions for discussion, students will provide the opportunity to make sense of ideas before they share them with a group. And this idea of verbalizing their thought process is really critical because, in today's classrooms, we're all geared towards, getting that FSA score, getting those scores. And it's unlike the FCAT, the FSA is a critical thinking skills test. And our students lack critical thinking skills. So this is a great strategy to help implement or, build those critical thinking skills and also get them to form the connections with the text while still providing them with the opportunity to have open-ended discussion questions or discussions in class where there is no right or wrong answer. For me personally, I plan on applying a lot of the strategies listed in the article within my own classroom. one of them specifically, well, a few of them actually, because there's more than one, I do plan on talking to my students about talk. I'm generally a very open teacher in the classroom, but I think from the beginning of the year, having that conversation with students about the importance of communication and creating an atmosphere where there is no judgment is important, because my students will never give me the type of responses that I'm looking for if they feel that I'm, basing them on what I believe to be right or wrong, what my personal biases are, and, if they feel that I judge them, period. So I really want to open up my school year with a talk about talk. I want them to always feel open within, boundaries to discuss certain things in the classroom. I also want to make space in the classroom for unobserved talk. A lot of times, when you're having these type of activities in the classroom, even though it is teacher facilitated, the teacher still plays that dominant factor. So I'm thinking about creating a space, maybe like heightened with like desk raisers or bed raisers, an area in the classroom where I could put those desks in a circle and students can convene there to discuss their ideas without necessarily having me hover over them. And of course, I want to give them the opportunity to make choices in what we discuss. So like the article, like the Steislinger and Pollock put in their article, I want to give my students guided discussion questions just to help them, pick what they want to talk about. They don't necessarily have to go with those questions per se, but I would like to give them opportunities to discuss more than what I have as the essential question or the guiding question on the SMART board.